Welcome everyone to this video, which is just a short introduction to, firstly, a very dear friend of mine and a New Year's program that Martin is offering, which I particularly wanted to let people know about because I know that the holiday period for some of us can be particularly challenging. I found myself for a number of years being a little bit like the stray dog that ended up at various sort of friends for Christmas and New Year and so on. So, firstly, it can be a lonely period. It can also, though, for many of us be a period where it's a transition and we're figuring out like what's happened this last year, but also like what's wanting to come forth. And so having a container, having some support around that, I think can be enormously helpful. Martin is one of my dearest and one of my oldest friends, not just because he's old, but also because we've known each other for many, many years. And he's one of the people that I trust most in the world to hold and facilitate something like this. So I thought it would be nice just for us to do a little video together, just to introduce Martin, to introduce the program. And then for those of you that are interested, I wholeheartedly encourage you to check this out. So firstly, Martin, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, Alex. What a nice little introduction, and nice to see you.
Well, so do you want to start off by just saying a few words around the program that this, I know there's lots of programs you have, but in particular this program that you're offering?
Yeah, I've done things over New Year for many, many years, and I've done them in person in various places, including here where I live in France. And then the first sort of COVID Christmas, as it were, during lockdown, just sort of sensing people's isolation and need and request, I did a 4-day program over New Year. And I've carried it on since then because it's been really popular. And it's a bit like you were just saying, it's an opportunity to end the year somewhat consciously and contemplatively and in community. So it gives the chance to reflect on what's been going and what's to come, but also to actually share. The winter time is by its nature a sort of inward time, a contemplative time. So to have time with others, we meet online several times a day. There's meditation practice, and I hold that and guide that. Teaching reflections, exercises that people can do, which are reflecting on the year, contact with each other, etc. And so we meet from 29th in the evening through till the last meeting on New Year's Day. And yeah, that's the opportunity we have.
Yeah. And is this something that people need to already be familiar with you and your work and your teaching, or is it something that's really open to anyone that's coming with some sort of sincere interest?
Yeah, it's usually a mix. It's usually a mix of people that know me quite well and have maybe done a bunch of previous work either with me or have attended meditation retreats, etc., and others that are quite new to it. So if I have a kind of niche as a meditation teacher, not quite, I think there's something about making teachings and practices both very accessible and ordinarily in their language, and at the same time, touching into real depth and transformational possibility. And so, to that sense, there's something about on the one hand, the accessibility of meditation instruction, like bringing your attention here, being present, entering into direct experience. You can hear those instructions for the very first time, or for the 100th or the 1000th time, and still keep applying them. So it's kind of beautifully available in that way, whether people have little experience or a lot or none at all.
I think sometimes also when people think about doing things online, they think, well, I don't know anyone in the group. Is the group already going to be people that already know each other? Maybe you can just speak a few words to how someone new coming into that shared space, how that can be held and supported for them.
Yeah. Well, in some ways, I think that's one of the sort of potencies of something like Zoom is that you can moderate your own degree of exposure, if you like. So there's plenty of opportunity to ask questions and interact with me and with other people, but you can also lurk in the background in your pajamas with your camera off, if you like. And so there's usually, a couple of hundred people or something that are attending, and so there's room enough to come forward and there's room enough to hang back for those who prefer.
Wonderful. I think this video's on the website with details that are below. Anything you want to say what people can expect from it, or what they can, yeah, what might be as they finish this kind of interactive experience on the other side, where that might sort of lead them to move forwards.
Hmm. So on the most essential thing, it's supporting people in being contemplative at the end of the year, and it's supporting people through basic meditation practices, and that's sort of very much an embodied meditation. You know, the way our attention just spins out. I mean, anyway, right? It spins out all the time, and at the end of the year, it might be spinning out about either the difficulty of being alone or the difficulty of being out with others, with family or whatever that might be, and various reflective exercises. Some of them that I can invite people to do in written form, some will do in real time, some we can split into little groups and people can do kind of dialogues and inquiries with each other. And so it's sort of using this natural transition moment, coming to the end of, entering into the new of, and we meet 3 or 4 times a day, and I have an assistant who's another very experienced meditation practitioner and teacher, and so she'll also be holding some of the sessions as well. And on New Year's Eve, then there's that meeting kind of up to and over the New Year point, where there's a certain sort of ritual element. We call into awareness, you know, that sense of transition. Also bring to mind people who've died in the year. And there's something about just naming. It's kind of very beautiful, actually. Just naming, just anybody invited, offering the name, and we kind of have that sense of just how, on the one hand, how fragile all our lives are. We never know when we're going. We remember others who have gone, and yet, on the other hand, through recalling that, we also come into contact with, oh, how precious our lives are. And the end of a year and the death of an old year and the birthing of a new one seems a particularly appropriate and potent moment to give attention to that. So a mixture, teaching, reflections, practices, little ritual, and the sense of both being supported by and offering one's own support to a whole community of practitioners and friends, usually from mostly around the world, actually. There's probably mostly Europeans, because we're sort of doing it on a European timescale, but actually plenty of friends and students join from the Americas as well, usually, and a little bit Africa, Asia, here and there.
And it's also worth saying, I think sessions are being recorded as well, right? So if someone can make some of the sessions, but they've got plans at a certain point, they can still be part of it.
Yeah, yeah, they can watch them on their own time and they stay live as well for a while afterwards. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, people can find the information below the video. Yeah, I really encourage people to check this out, particularly if you don't have plans and being part of something that feels holding and supportive is something you feel drawn towards. And I'd love people in my community to get a chance to check out Martin, you and your work, and I know have a wonderful experience. So yeah, excited to hear how people get on.
Nice. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate you speaking about it, and I appreciate you kind of making this sense of available to your audience, because I know how much people get from the programs you offer and the practices they do with you and other teachers.
Great. Thanks, Martin.
Thanks.